All right, West Virginia fans, it's another day. It's another camp update. Today was day 2 of fall camp, and Rich Rodriguez and Zach Alley both took the podium and talked to local West Virginia media. If you can see from the thumbnail, did WVU take a step back? It wasn't the greatest practice in the world from what it sounded like. Rich Rod was very critical of the West Virginia Mountaineers today. Zach Alley called the practice average. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight what they said, kind of break down, read in between the lines of what they said, and do an instant reaction to their press conferences today. Again, if you're a West Virginia Mountaineer fan and you want to be up to date on the Mountaineers, please like and subscribe to the show. We definitely appreciate all who watch Jersey Ear. With that being said, let's get right into what was said at today's press conference from the coaches. So the title is called Step Back. Rich Rodriguez was happy with Wednesday's first practice, but thought today that the team took a step back. He was very critical of the team. He actually said that usually on day twos, he's very critical of the team, so this is nothing new to him. He expressed that the team needs to get back on track for practices tomorrow, and he called the team soft. And he preaches hard edge all the time, but in today's practice, he definitely used the word soft a bunch of times and even called today's society soft, which we'll touch on a little bit later. So you definitely don't want to hear that from the coach. But the question is this coach speak, or is this how he truly feels? I think right now it's almost like West Virginia's in that boot camp phase, right? Where they're breaking the guys down to build them up later. It's going to be interesting to see as camp goes on if the rhetoric changes. Is all the practices this bad, or does he think that they're better than this, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but he definitely was not happy with today's practice. He called it a step back. Workouts not complete. A few guys today did not make it through the entire workouts. Rich Rodriguez noted that only 2 running backs in the room completed their workouts. He didn't name those individuals who completed them, but he said that he needs to start looking for guys that complete their workouts. If you can't complete your workout, how can he trust you to play on the field? So he called those guys out. He was not happy with the running back room today not completing the workouts. Again, he's gonna make this uncomfortable. I think someone asked about Jaheim White, and he even said, he's not guaranteed a spot at this point either. It's got to be earned success. So Rich Rod is trying to make this camp as uncomfortable as possible. Pat McAfee warned people of that coming into the season, right? He said this is going to be very uncomfortable. Guys are going to bow out, and it's going to be tough. So he's definitely making it tough on the first few days, and he did not shy away from the media with that today. Portal addition. So Rich Rod had an interesting quote today. He says, "I got a whole recruiting staff. They're still looking. While we're still looking, we ain't got a game for a few weeks. School didn't start for a couple weeks. I got a spot or 2 open. I'm just saying. You think I'm going to talk to my recruiting staff this afternoon? We're running a business." So he kept it 100% here, right? He's saying if there's other guys in the portal, he'll go get them. Now, I don't know what kind of talent is left in the portal, right? It's July 31st. It's the last day of July. So who knows what guys are out of the portal. This might be a message to try to get to his team to make them uncomfortable. But it is an interesting thing that he said at his press conference today. He's not afraid to go into the transfer portal to get more guys, even on July 31st. School doesn't open up for a few more weeks, so I guess guys could be eligible to get more guys in the portal. Do I think they're going to get more guys in the portal? No, but would it surprise me? I guess not either. Definitely let me know in the comments if you think we're going to go portal hunting. And then he went on a tangent today about just how soft the society is today, right? He talked at length today about pulling weeds. He said that he hated pulling weeds, but it made him be tougher because of it. We actually have a comment here. Let's get to that real quick. It says, this is the fire we need. Love it. Yeah, man, definitely different from last year's camp where they were saying it was the best team they've ever seen and things like that. He's definitely not being shy in this one. He's saying that we need to improve as a team quickly, and you better get comfortable with it. But like I said, back to the soft society, Rich Rodriguez talked at length about society as a whole getting softer. He believes that the system nowadays is setting things up to be easier when we should be making things harder. He believes there's learned experiences in battling through adversity and through tough times. And then he also mentioned how lucky the West Virginia players are of all the amenities and luxuries they get. He mentioned the food they get and the hot tubs, and he said it could be a lot worse. And he alluded to guys getting paid now, right? So he definitely made it seem like these guys are catered and they need to get with the program and live that hard edge mentality if they're going to play for him, which is a breath of fresh air of what you want to see. So we appreciate his press conferences. They're always great work. And again, he talked at length about pulling weeds with his dad back in the day and how much he hated it. Zach Alley also took the podium today. It was great to hear from Zach. He's a great interview, nice young coach that we have here at West Virginia. And he added a few more layers to what Rich Rod said. Let's start with the recent upgrades. He believes the team is in a better position than they were in the spring. And I agree, right? Look at the guys that we've added. We've added about 20 guys since the spring window occurred. So he's definitely going to bring in that competition. And with that competition, he also said that every position is up for grabs this year. Literally every single one on the defense. So they're constantly evaluating that every day. So that was good to hear. It sounds like every position on this team right now is up for grabs. He used the word average. They asked him today, what would you call day 2? And he called the defensive performance today average and believes the team can accomplish more. He said that some players stood out, but most need to evaluate or elevate their game to reach the standard that's expected. He used the word standard a lot. That was one thing that he mentioned a ton today in his press conference is the word standard. And he said there is a standard on every single play, and they need to address when the standard is not being met. So if a guy is slacking off or not going full bore, they need to address that right away so everyone sees that. So they're not going to be shy about calling guys out. If you're not living up to that standard, they're going to figure that out. And that's one of the other things he said. We're going to figure out who can help us and who can't, and then they're going to move on from those guys. So they are putting the pressure on these players early, even in day 2 of fall camp. Speaking of standards, they talked about the 3 turnover standard. And I absolutely love that he talked about this today. He said the defense must produce 3 turnovers each practice. So when they're going against the offense, the defense, before they leave, needs to produce 3 turnovers. He said the defense has achieved that through the first 2 days of camp, which is a great sign. But he did mention that it's going to get more challenging once full pads and contact are a full go. I love this, though, because I think we've missed some defenses over the few years that can turn the ball over and get us possessions when we need them. If we're going to be successful with how good the offenses are in this league, we need to create turnovers. So the fact that they are preaching that at practice every single day is a great sign. If you get 3 turnovers in a game, there's a good chance you're going to win that game. So 3 is a great number. Really, really love to hear what he said about there and that 3 turnover standard. He also talked a little bit about the linebacker room, which is great. And he said he likes the room. And the biggest thing he said, he sees a lot of leaders in that room, which is extremely important for this defense because they are in charge of the defense. He said if a guy's missing their spot or they're in the wrong position, that's on the linebackers. And he's going to hold those guys accountable. So not only do you have to be a good player as a linebacker, but you also have to be a good leader to play in this defense. He also talked about some of the guys like John Lewis and how big he was and Chase Wilson and how they all each bring different things to the room. And then he also talked about PFF versus EA sports grades, right? So he said that he believes that kids pay attention more to EA sports grades than PFF grades. He said himself, though, that he does not pay attention to grades from third parties. Got another comment here. Finally, a coach with an attitude, setting the tone. Nothing comes easy. Yeah, I think that's been the big push this offseason is earn success. And that's something they've constantly talked about. So whether you're a returning starter or you're not, or returning All-American or not, they're going to make you earn it in this room. And what else was here? Let's talk about 2 more things before we get off and make this a quick show. So the end of the gold helmet. So if you look here, this was actually a screenshot from Jordan Scruggs, a cornerback of the West Virginia Mountaineers. And if you notice there's no gold helmet. There is a throwback helmet. There's the glossy blue, which looks nice. There's a white, and then there's the Coal Rush helmet. And now there is no yellow helmet. So the question is this the end of the gold helmet? If anyone has a comment, whether they like the gold helmets, please let me know. We'll talk about that. Me personally, I think the gold helmet has its place when it looks nice. If you look at the Will Greer combo that's here, I think the helmet matches the pants look good. Anytime I see a uniform, I usually like the helmet to match the pants, especially for an away uniform. But this could be the end of the gold helmet. And I'm kind of indifferent about it. Like I said, I think it looks good in some cases, but in other cases, I'm not too sure how it looks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the gold helmet, and we'll share those comments as they come through. And some other NFL news, since we're talking football, let's talk about what Aaron Rodgers said about Zack Frasier yesterday. So Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. They went to training camp there. There was a lot of West Virginia fans there. Unfortunately, also a lot of Pitt fans. And Aaron Rodgers had a nice quote about West Virginia favorite Zack Frasier. He said, "It starts and ends with that kid. He's got a chance to be really special in the league. I've worked with a lot of great centers, and they were all wrestlers, and he was a great wrestler in high school. He's super smart. He's a Mountaineer." Aaron Rodgers. So for those that don't know, Zack Frasier, I believe, was a 4-time West Virginia state wrestling champion. So he definitely has the pedigree in the background. I was a wrestler myself, so I always appreciate those guys. And for Zack Frasier to get that endorsement from Aaron Rodgers, however you feel about him, is a major thing. And it's a major important thing for the West Virginia Mountaineers, right? Zack Frasier needs to be good in the NFL because we need beasts in the NFL. It's been a long time since we've had guys really excel in the NFL. So guys like Geno Smith and guys like Zack Frasier and things like that, they elevate our brand, right? And we need to get more guys in the NFL consistently to help our brand. And I think that this endorsement of Zack Frasier is big. So I'm very happy to hear that. Since we still have people on and we just started the show, I haven't done the defensive breakdown yet of the defensive line. So I just want to do that real quick since we have people on. And then if you guys want to add comments and talk about other things, we can. But let's also break into the defensive line room and highlight them, because I think there's a lot of stuff here to like about this defensive line room. So let's start with Jamori Robinson first, right? Again, you see in red, he needs that waiver. And if he doesn't get that waiver, that's going to be a big issue, in my opinion. You can't replace the stats that he had, right? Last year, I think he had 10.5 sacks, right? He was the AAC Defensive Player of the Year. He had 4 sacks in one game versus Temple, and he was our only 4-star transfer, according to 24/7 Sports. He has an 86 overall grade by NCAA. This guy's a massive addition to the team, and he needs to be eligible. Still be on the lookout from that news from the West Virginia media sources. Like I said, be careful of who you get it from and who drops that news. The guys that are following the team are probably the best to get that. They know what they're doing. They're on the surface every day. But Jamori Robinson is the biggest portal addition, and we need him to play. Let's talk about the second biggest guy I'm excited about on the defensive line, and that's Eddie Kelly Jr. 6'5", 286. He has played in 37 career games with 9 starts, 20 tackles, 1 sack, and 4.5 tackles for loss. He was a 36th rated defensive lineman in the portal, and he has an 84 overall grade by NCAA 26. This guy's a journeyman, right? He's played for 4 different schools, started off at USF, went to Georgia Tech, Missouri, and now he's at West Virginia. I mean, if he had one more year eligibility, he could have played in the Big Ten and played at all 4 Power 4 conferences, right? So Eddie Kelly is going to be an important piece to this defense, especially if Jamori Robinson is not eligible. So this guy needs to step up. I'm glad he came to West Virginia because I think he's going to be in a starting role, in my opinion. Eddie Kelly Jr., he switched his number to number 1, so be on the lookout for that, but he's going to be a massive addition to this room. Let's talk about the next guy, Hammond Russell. Hammond Russell is a redshirt senior. He's 6'3", 308. He's played in 27 career games. He played in 325 defensive snaps last year. He had 17 tackles, 3 sacks, and 3.5 tackles for loss. And he has an NCAA grade of an 80 overall. He got a nice endorsement this year by Eddie Vesteranen. Eddie V was on the 3 Guys Before the Game podcast, and they talked about who they think is going to step up, and they said that Hammond Russell was one of those guys, so that's great to hear. He's a guy that has stuck around and paid his dues, and a lot of times nowadays you don't see guys stick for 4 years, so to see this guy stick around here for West Virginia to finally get his due is refreshing to see. So we're all rooting for Hammond Russell to have a big season this upcoming year. Let's talk about Eddie V, right? Eddie V, again, if we just alluded to the three guys before the game podcast, if you're a fan of West Virginia, definitely check that show out and listen to what he did there. He even played some music. He's just a great guy to have in your locker room. Very mature guy, was actually in the Turkish army. So he's a redshirt senior. He's 6'3", 284, has played in 35 games with 16 starts. Here's the thing with him. He was injured last year versus Albany in week 2. He was supposed to be a senior last year, but because he got hurt, was able to take that medical redshirt season. That could be a blessing in disguise for him, right? Because I think he'll have a bigger role in this defense with where our defensive line is at. So I'm looking for a big season from Eddie V. And again, NCAA football has a 77 overall from him. He's a mature player, like I said. He's been in the room. I think he can be a leader on that defensive line. So excited to watch Eddie V this upcoming season. Next, we have Braden Cers. Really excited about this guy. I love this guy's tape. He's a redshirt senior, and he has 26 career starts at the University of Wyoming. He had 91 tackles, brings in 14 sacks, and 23 and a half tackles for loss. So, Wyoming, they're a group of 5 school, but I really respect their program, and numbers don't lie. And having 14 career sacks and 91 tackles and the tackles for loss is impressive. And I think it's someone that we can use for sure. Even if he's not the starter, he's definitely going to get on the field as a rotational piece. So this was one of the more underrated gets that we had out of the portal. Really excited to see Braden Cers come over from Wyoming. This other guy we want to talk about is Devin Grant, another one of those redshirt seniors. So if you're seeing a theme with this entire team, it's a very redshirt senior type team. A lot of these guys have played at a lot of different schools over the years, and this guy's one of them. He comes in at 6'2", 265. He started 13 games last year at a Incarnate Word last season. He had 31 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. He actually started his career at Colorado. So before Deion Sanders got there, he was on the team in the year 2020 and 2021 and was a rotational player for the Colorado Buffs. So it's not like it's the first time that he's seen Power 4 or Power 5 football. So this guy can definitely help us, especially with that 8.5 sacks. So we're excited to have Devin Grant, and I think he's going to be part of that rotation. And then the other guys that we want to highlight is Curtis Jones Jr. He's a sophomore. He's 6'4", 231. He's bringing in 78 snaps of experience, but that was mainly on special teams. He was a 3-star recruit out of high school, and NCAA 26 has him as a 78 overall. He's actually rated higher than Braden Cers from Wyoming, which was kind of surprising. So the coaches must be hyping him up to EA Sports or something because he doesn't have that much playing time, but I think he's going to have a place to find some playing time this year. The other guy is Corey McIntyre Jr., redshirt sophomore, 6'3", 284. He was offered from Washington State and Indiana out of high school, so seeing those Power 4 offers is definitely a good sign. And the cool thing about him is he's a West Virginia legacy. So his dad, Corey McIntyre Sr., played at West Virginia from 1998 to 2001, and he had an 11-year NFL career. So they always say the NFL stands for not for long, and this guy definitely stuck around for a long time. So 11 years is something to be proud of. So if he can emulate his dad's success, that'd be awesome. And NCAA football has him rated at a 72 overall. Let's see if he can make a jump this year in those ratings and get to the field. And then the last 2 guys that we want to highlight is Asani Redwood, redshirt junior, 6'3", 296, 27 career games with 2 starts. He brings in 17 tackles, 1 sack, and 2.5 tackles for loss in 2024, NCAA rating of a 76. And then the other guy is Nate Gabriel. He's a sophomore, so he still has some time to grow and play. 6'3", 295, has played in 12 games, 128 defensive snaps, NCAA 26 rating of a 72 overall. So a lot to like about the room. I really like guys like Cers, and I like obviously Jamori Robinson. That's going to be the big one, right? If Jamori Robinson can get that waiver, that's going to be extremely important. You have Eddie Kelly. You bring back Eddie V, Hammond Russell. I think you have enough there to be confident with and work with for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Friendly reminder, TBT is tonight, so definitely watch Best Virginia in the Final Four if they're 1 game away from the finals. So let's keep this run as long as we can go. With that being said, I don't have much more for today. We went for about 20 minutes. Like I said, Rich Rod kind of said the team took a step back today, but how much of that is challenging the players and coaches speak? If you missed the beginning of the show, I compared it to boot camp, right? And at boot camp, they break you down first, and then they build you up as the camp goes along. Maybe that's what they're doing here. But super excited to talk more about West Virginia as the camps go on. With that being said, that's the end of the show. I really appreciate everyone coming on. Definitely drop a comment and like the show, subscribe. Let's grow this thing. Let's go Mountaineers. Everyone have a great rest of their night.